Lafayette, Louisiana, and you're watching Eclectic Arts.
So yes, we can do this. We cannot do this.
I mean, you just put so much effort and care into what you do, and it really shows.
How did this get here?
I'm happy to be a part of the legacy you're building with Eclectic Arts.
Same.
I need to be outside. That's my office.
I know we're from Alabama, but we do read a couple books now and again. We've been known for reading.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington. And thank you so much for joining me on this 21st of July, 2022. And as always, a few housekeeping details before we get to tonight's interview. I want to thank Kate Black-Spence and John Klein from last week for doing the interview about their short film Static Space, which was really great. And those two could have went forever, but Kate has a newborn, so she had to get off the live stream. But I would love to have them back, and it sounds like we may actually have them back at some point to maybe either discuss more things going on with that short film or some of the other things they have going on in their careers. And I can tell you, this is new as of last night. My next live stream that's confirmed will be a week from this Friday, the 29th of July at 9 p.m. Pacific, and I have Neatland coming back, the napalm recording artist from Siberia. If you have ever had a chance to listen to them, they do Nordic inspired, throat singing and just traditional ancient music. I had the pleasure of speaking to Anatoly first last year, and then Anatoly and his wife. That was also I want to say about last August, almost a year ago. And they've had a chance to play some live performances at festivals in Europe. And they have a little bit of a break, so we're going to reconnect a week from Friday, and that's going to be really fun to talk to them about finally getting back out there and playing live in front of huge audiences. And they're a lot of fun to talk to because they are a married couple, so they have a really great dynamic between them. So again, that's next Friday. And if you'd like to know what I have coming up, the social media platform that I post almost everything to first is on Instagram, so you can follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, and some of that information migrates over to other social media platforms. If this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could do me a huge favor, please hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That greatly helps me out with the whole algorithm and everything else when it comes to YouTube. And if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's greatly appreciated. I just updated everything on my Twitch side. And I will always keep a presence there because when I started all of this a little over 2 years ago on the Alice virtual tour, we use Twitch. So that's why we'll always maintain a platform using Twitch. And if you're really just loving what I do and you start looking through things after this live stream is over, you can always make a donation or tip through PayPal. That's always in my YouTube description, as well as all the links to everything that I do. And also where my guest is at. So my guest tonight, their link is also in the YouTube description. So you can go right there, click on it, and it'll take you right to all the information regarding the guest. All right, let's get to this. This is going to be really fun. My guest is a fantastic guitarist and musician. I saw him open for Alice back on July 7th, and I was floored by his playing. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Ed MEJIA.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you for having me. Hey, it's going great, man. Very happy to be here.
Well, no, thank you so much. I got to tell you, and I think I kind of told you this in person, that I overheard, some guitar coming over the PA or something before the show started on the 7th, and I didn't know if that was like they're playing something, you know, from a band or what was going on, because I was kind of like all distracted. And then when I saw you over there like shredding on your Ibanez, I'm like, oh shit, I need to go plant myself here and watch this guy. And I just stayed there the whole set. I did feel a little conspicuous, like I'm like, I hope he doesn't think I'm like a weirdo, like staring at him playing guitar. But being a guitar player myself, I'm like, damn. And yeah, you totally just blew my mind. So I wanted to talk to you, and I'm so glad that you come on and talk with me in this format.
I certainly appreciate the kind words. And I think that was the very first thing I said to you. I said, man, you rocked out with me right up front, man. So thank you. So no, I certainly appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's and your CD EP right here, Basement Music,
Yeah.
and I've got your shirt on right here, which
Yeah, I noticed, man.
yeah,
Nice.
no, it's really cool.
I appreciate
So
it, man.
yeah, I was just listening to this about the last hour or so before we came on, before you and I connected pre-show, just to kind of refresh my memory, because I listened to it when I got back from Yakima. So it's like, let's kind of start there with before we get into like your background of music and your band and everything. Tell me about this EP first and foremost. Like, when did you start doing this? When did you start writing the songs? And then I recognize some of the songs from the show in Yakima that I heard. So some of them off you played live. So when did this whole thing come about?
You know, I think I started experimenting with some demos just before March of 2020. So when that came around, then I had a lot of time to just really start working on things. And so it was literally just put together in my basement. I guess it's not very creative there with the title, but it's truthful to what it is. It was born out of this space that I'm in right now. So that was it. It was just a bit of a challenge and a bit of a passion project, I guess, so to myself, I had never done anything quite like that. So, starting something and completing it. So.
Oh, that's very cool. So like if we take one song that stood out to me was Holland Days, the fifth song on the CD. And so how do you piece your songs together? So if we take that one, what came first?
What came first? I'll tell you the real story where that came from. That riff for that song came from, I don't know if you know that Swedish YouTuber Ola England.
No,
He's
I don't.
Really big in the heavy metal guitar community.
Okay.
And so he has these weekly challenges. It's his Guitar Sunday with Ola challenge. And so he would provide you with a drum beat. You take it, you put what you want on it, you send it back to him, and you just kind of hope it gets featured. I did not get featured, but I took that idea anyways, and just kind of retooled it to make it fit what I wanted it to do. So it was kind of born out of that challenge.
Interesting. Okay, I wrote down his name. I'll have to look up his work and stuff and kind of see what you're talking about. One thing that I liked on that particular tune is that, and I think I told you this in person too, is that upon first listening, people might think, oh, it's a shredder in terms of your playing. But to me, what stood out was more the composition and the backing tracks that you had going, that you wrote and put together. And then there's a lot of melody in your playing, which I personally love. I don't like to hear a bunch of an angry bee kind of thing for 5 minutes. I want to hear some melody, some emotion, and then some of the kind of rip your head off kind of thing. That's great. Sure. And you had a mix of all that stuff. I think that's what we kind of show like a maturity in your playing.
Wow, and thank you.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, is that something that I guess maybe you do have to kind of go back? How long have you been playing? And then, so when you're recording these songs, do you feel like they're a really good representation then of where your playing's at? Or is like, now that's been a couple of years, has it been like, well, I think this is kind of almost like amateur hour and I'm so much further ahead? Or where are you on that playing timeline?
Well, we're always going to be our own worst critic, right? So I recorded that album, several months ago, and I play guitar like furiously every day for several hours, especially in the summer. So right now, a lot of guitar playing is getting in. And so is that album an accurate representation of where I'm at? Currently today, no, I'm better now than I was, a few months ago. But I guess it definitely speaks true to my style, I guess. I would think that some of the people that have been around me for years and I've played music with can probably recognize my playing from maybe in my early 20s or maybe even my teens. Just some things that I do, I guess. I don't know. I'd like to think that. Yeah. It is. It is what it is, man.
So when did you first start playing guitar then? How far back do we go?
Yeah, I picked it up when I was 10. I got a guitar from Santa Claus at the time. He brought me my first Squire Stratocaster, the black body with the white pick guard. And at that time, it was like 1994. And so Kurt Cobain had just died, but this kid I went to school with was a huge Nirvana fan at 10 years old. So he got me into it. It led to me getting my first guitar. And so it was a lot of Kurt Cobain, Green Day, that's when it started. So it was like power chords for like the first 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 7 years, all power chords.
Okay, so you're starting off with Nirvana and Green Day. It's interesting because we were talking pre-show about guitar clubs that we both had started. Yours right before the lockdown, and I had mine way back when I had hair. And that's what the students used to bring in. They would bring in Green Day, Nirvana songs, Soundgarden, all the grunge stuff. Hey, Mr. S, can you learn this for me? So Metallica would work its way in there at times. And so when did you start going from Nirvana and Green Day and getting into more of the leads and shredding kind of thing?
I will say the leads and shredding came after really just being introduced to metal at that time. So it was a path from, I think, maybe Korn and White Zombie, possibly the first few things, but then high school for me was really a lot of Pantera, Slayer. And then so blossoming out of that, Black Label Society. So we're talking 90s, 2000s, so really just, I think I'm born out of that era. When I think of, what's a good riff sound like, it probably sounds like a Pantera riff or something from Lamb of God. So that it kind of dates me a little bit. I'm in that area in here. So that's where I live.
Okay, well that's cool. And so were you learning on your own then, basically being self-taught, or did you take some lessons in those early years, or both?
When I first got that, Squire Stratocaster when I was 10, I maybe took lessons for 5-6 months, but from there it was just hanging around people. I had friends that had dads that played blues, so I would see these guys, just blow my mind when I was like 12, Other than that, it was playing with people my age, learning together with other people, and being a subscriber to Guitar World. My parents paid for my subscription at that time. So every article, every tab, that was it, man. That's what I read like every day for several years. So that was my teacher, I guess. And still read those, man. I got it. These are all Guitar Worlds back here, so I still peek through them, read the old articles. They never get old. The best parts are the ads too, super dated ads as well. You got the what's that line 6 little line 6 beam?
Yeah.
The Zoom 505 all over in those things too.
See, I'm laughing because I think maybe this is true of a lot of guitar players, especially if you play heavy music. I had Guitar Worlds, I had a stack of them. I had Guitar Player magazine, kind of anything that I could kind of learn from, basically. And you just become this sponge. You just want to keep absorbing it. Especially when I started, because there was no internet, so you didn't have this other option to try to pick stuff up from, or YouTube or whatever. So it's like, okay, yeah, you're either learning from your friends or you're like, what's the latest issue of Guitar World and who's in and where's the tab and what's this, all this other kind of tips and tricks and stuff. And you look at the columns and try to incorporate some of that stuff into what you do. And my high school had a guitar club, and so this is back when you had people into Yngwie and Tony McAlpine and Satriani and Vi and all of those guys are virtuosos basically of the instrument. And I knew I couldn't play like that, so I started getting into the blues at that time. And so I was so lucky because it really sent me on a different path, and it separated me from those guys. I didn't sound like my peers, basically. And
nice,
yeah. So it's cool. Like when you mentioned you had some people that you knew around in your circle that were playing blues, so you can kind of listen from that and kind of pick from different things. So are you basically a musician that is open-minded and pulls from all these different genres, or you tend to stay more on the heavy side of things, or it's different for everybody?
I am all over the place. I just happen to have a couple metal projects right now. I'm working on some, some of my own solo music right now, and it kind of, gets away from some metal, this particular piece that I'm working on. So I'm all over the place, man. Probably wouldn't guess, but I can do that. I can skank on the, play rhythm guitar, skanking it up, playing some reggae funky stuff, man. I got a right hand, man. So I spent a lot of time playing, that kind of music with friends, even when I was a kid, Red Hot Chili Peppers, being a big John Frusciante fan as a kid, so yeah, I'm, kind of everywhere, man. Kind of everywhere. And I think just studying guitar technique also opens me up to other styles. I think that's when my interest in, John Petrucci, Satriani, all those guys, when you start reading these articles about these techniques that you want to learn more about, then you're like, okay, my heroes, I'm getting new heroes along the way because I'm being inspired by these new people. So
yeah, no, that's great. You sound really similar to what my mindset developed into, of like, if it sounds cool, it doesn't matter what instrument even that it's played on or what type of song it's played from. I used to use it as an example with my guitar club, where I would play a lead that I transcribed, and I wouldn't tell them where it came from. So, oh, that sounds really cool. So, what band did that come from? They rattle off, Green Day, Metallica, Slayer, that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, this came from a Faith Hill song. And I would play them that song, and they can hear that, well, that's not a guitar, that's a keyboard, or that's a saxophone, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, this is what you can do if you kind of open up your mind to what's out there and not close it off. I'm like, oh, cool. And I think most musicians get to that point, hopefully, where they're like, I just want to pull from whatever just works for me and not pigeonhole myself into anything. So that's cool that you got stuff that you're working on that is metal, stuff that is not metal, like you said, the most current thing that's in a different genre. And if you're funk it up and that kind of thing, that's that's always appreciated. But if we kind of go back to the gig on the 7th, I think you had told me that was maybe the second time you'd played a solo set live. Was that true?
Yeah, that was the second time I'd ever done it. Yeah, it was the first time I'd done it was just maybe 2 or 3 months ago. So I had some time in between. I had to kind of relearn everything. It's just stuff I don't play, So yeah, that's it. And I don't anticipate doing any more of them, but if they come to me, I'll do them. But it's more fun with the band. It's so anyone that hasn't seen me, Mark, you saw me play with my backing tracks. I just have the lead guitars, ripped out, and I'm playing over the top. So it's fun, but it's way better playing with my other project, my band, so playing with humans.
Okay, yeah, and that other band is Dead by Design.
That's Dead by Design, yeah.
Yeah, and so for people out there that aren't familiar with them, what kind of music are they playing? And they're based out of Tacoma, yes?
Tacoma, Seattle, yeah, they're all spread out right around that area, and I'm the offshoot here on the east side, so.
Okay, so are you guys, obviously you must be gigging out then now that you can, playing some shows in the area. And so how's that work for you, since you're the one lone person on the other side of the mountains? I mean, for rehearsal and that kind of stuff, what do you guys do?
We make time to rehearse, but over the last few months, we've been pretty active, playing at least a couple shows a month. So we stay pretty fresh with everything. But if we go too long, we'll throw a session in. But we're actually kind of just getting ready to finish up, some of the dates that we have through October, and we're just going to take some time. I'm going to sit in my studio, and they're going to sit in theirs too, and we're going to get to work on some things. So we have been in the background, but it's time just to take fall and kind of relax at home and get things done.
Okay, that's
look forward to 2023.
Okay, and off the top of your head, do you guys have some Seattle-based gigs coming up then in that mix that you're talking about?
Yeah, we'll actually be at the substation in Seattle next Tuesday on the 26th with Thoughts for the Builders. Okay,
so it's going to be a hot show in there in more ways than one on Tuesday. If the weather people are right, and maybe they'll be wrong, but I don't think they will be. Okay, Substation on Tuesday. Yeah, I'm thinking I need to try to check out you guys and see what you're like in that band setting.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Would love to see you there, man. Yeah, I totally encourage that.
All right, so
You'll see me having a lot more fun too. I'll be having a lot more fun with the guys. So
well, and like you said, and it's a really good point that you can do only so much by yourself, and even if you're playing live to your backing tracks, which I've actually done before myself, but when you're interacting with actual people and that energy exchange, and then the audience obviously too, you can just kind of cut loose, and everything just elevates.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah, and having not seen Dead by Design, but is there ever a chance that the guys would like do one of your songs, like as a, I don't know, in the middle of a set, like the singer goes off stage or something, and you do an instrumental?
We had done exactly that for a while. We don't do it anymore, but Materialize was one when we didn't have a long set. So we're like, we can just do one of my songs. And it was just one that, the rhythm section was really easy to learn. And, so we put it together pretty quick. So yeah, that was kind of our midway point. Singer would go take a break. We'd, have some additional set time there on stage. So yeah, at one point we did. We don't do it anymore, which I'm totally fine with. So yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's great that you guys are already doing that, because obviously that flashed in my head. It's like, well, maybe you can just throw that into the set at some point and just doing the instrumental. Now, clearly, I've seen other bands do the same thing. Yeah, the singer goes off, changes wardrobe, just has a drink or whatever they do, and then the rest of the band just kind of goes for it, and then they kind of reconvene with the singer and go on to the act 2 of their set or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, precisely, man, precisely.
So, and this might be like a long list, but who are some of your favorite guitar influences?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I can maybe just. There's so many to list, but I will say the guy that I'm listening to a lot, maybe over the last year, maybe especially in the last week or so, but Aaron Marshall is his project Intervals, if you've ever heard that group. Just fantastic. So you can write them down. Intervals, check out their music. It's an instrumental group. They're just fantastic, man. So Aaron Marshall is an amazing composer, guitar player. Every note just hits the spot, man. So that's who I'm stuck on right now. So yeah, great player.
Okay, cool. No, I love checking out new bands and new guitar players, and I have not heard of them. So yeah, I'll be doing that later tonight. Cool. Now, do you play other instruments besides guitar?
Yeah, not as good though, but I played marching band as a kid. I have a drum set set up right over here too. So I'll work on things, but it's primarily for my son who's learning drums. But yeah, I got some chops. I can hang. I can, somebody needed like a cover band drummer. I think I can hang. Haven't done it, but I can hang.
Okay, and I'm just curious, how old's your son?
He is gonna be 14 here in a few months. Actually, in a couple months.
Okay.
Wild, so
yeah, the reason I asked that, I was thinking, is he to an age where you guys can be jamming together? And clearly, he could be if he's on.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Yeah, we do that quite frequently. So, yeah, I'm all set up here. All set up at the drop of a dime. We can just bust out a couple tunes. So it's pretty user friendly back here. So
that's got to be such an amazing feeling to be able to jam with your son.
Yeah. And I have a daughter too. She's a couple years younger, but she was into it for a minute. Not so much. She was learning ukulele, but she's really big into karate right now. So yeah, she's doing great. Actually earned one of her stripes yesterday, so she's pretty into that.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. And since you mentioned that you have a son and a daughter, maybe let's take a couple minutes here and kind of speak to your other job, which is teaching young minds. And so what drew you to mathematics?
I don't know, because when I was in middle school, I hated math. I was not good at it. I was not good at focusing in on math. I just did not want to be there. I was busy reading Guitar Worlds at that time. I'm not joking. That really is the case, man. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't until until I started working, for like my AA, working, at the community college there, or studying at the community college, taking some of those math classes. It was actually kind of fun, and so I realized I'm pretty good at it, especially when I'm paying for it. I'm pretty good at it. So, yeah, kind of naturally just kind of went that direction. So, uh, here I am teaching math. I should have just gone further. I should have just, I don't know, been an engineer or something, made way more money. But I'm really happy where I'm at, though.
Yeah, well, that's great that you're doing that. And we talked pre-show a little bit about we have some of that kind of thing in common, having taught in public schools and being into music, guitar, metal, all that kind of thing. Do you find though that with teaching math and having a math brain, as I would call it, does that influence how you approach the guitar?
Yes. Yeah, I am indirectly at times, but absolutely. I think just having, just even number sense, counting rhythm, just little things like that, I'm not a complete dummy. I may look like one, but yeah, having some number sense certainly helps. Even working with, a metronome and just timing your physical movement, in my head, I calculate things a certain way, so they come out a certain way. So yeah, it's all connected, of course.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because it would make perfect sense to me that you would approach the instrument a certain way of how you think. But also what's interesting is that you have quite a bit of emotion in your playing too. And you don't necessarily let the two of them come together a lot when someone's maybe really, really number oriented and then someone's maybe more feeling street oriented. But you have that, especially with your melody stuff. I really like that mix of both worlds. Where do you think that your feel comes from with your playing, and also just your songs in general?
I think I'm just an emotional person. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe, I don't know that I am maybe that analytical side. I'm not as much that person as I am like that emotional person, I feel like. I really truly feel that way. I just happen to be, I can do middle level math. So, but the rest of me is just the kid listening to My Chemical Romance, So I'm pretty emo at times, honestly, So I think that's where it comes from. I like the challenge of learning, advanced picking techniques, but I also like, I love, I love AFI is one of my favorite bands that we haven't talked about, But I think it's a combination of those two things, quite truly.
Okay, well, no, and that makes sense that it's going to be inherent to just who you are as a person too. That what comes out of you from all these different eras. I mean, I'm no different, but yeah, just again, I've had the pleasure of listening to quite a few local bands over the years, especially when I started Eclectic Arts and that kind of thing here in Seattle for the most part, of all styles, not just metal stuff. And of course, I'm gonna hone in on the guitars. Doesn't matter what band it is or what they're. I just want to see what they're doing, and then a close second usually is the drummer for me. And so yeah, honestly, I can't think the last time when I saw somebody local where, just from a musician standpoint, musicianship standpoint, I should say, where I was like, what is going on there? I mean, I was really, really wanting to hear and watch what you were doing. Because sometimes I hear something, oh, this is a really good band, or I like that song, or something makes you want to bang your head and that kind of thing. But it's pretty rare when I have where a musician stands out that much to me. Wow. And yeah, and you clearly did. And that's what I was telling Alice after your set, after we talked a little bit. I was like, man, yeah. And Scott, the guitarist, I talked to him outside by the van. He had his guitar on him, and I was like, hey man, did you hear him? He's like, man, that guy was shredded. So I got to get out here and warm up some before we do our set. Yeah, they were suitably impressed with you, and granted, they've had
cool, man.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that I missed the second guy because I was talking to Alice most of the time, so I know he was singing and doing his thing that night. But I saw you note for note from beginning to end of everything that you played, so I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that, man. That's very cool. That was so much fun. Alice was great, and everyone was super kind. I had never met him before, but leading up to their show, I was scoping out their socials and everything. So yeah, they were great. What a treat. And that was just a great night.
Yeah, it was, and clearly I'm biased, but I can't recommend them enough to people that I haven't heard of the band Alice, and AL1CE, if you go searching them, or ilikealice.com. I met them 5 years ago, just through social media. I mean, we really didn't know who each other were, and they were doing kind of an odd thing because they were on tour and they played Seattle on a Friday and then they played Everett on Sunday. So I'm like, oh, this band's going to be here for 2 shows, pretty close to each other. And long story short, I ended up going to both shows, talking to them up in Everett, did a little behind the scenes thing that I filmed of them, interviewed Tosh and Sasha, the 2 singers, and then I wrote a report about it. And then throughout 3 years later, when the pandemic hit, they reached out to me about opening their virtual tour. And I'm not tech oriented, so I was like, what do you want me to do? You want me to play guitar for 30? What am I doing? Like, no. We thought you could do interviews because we know lots of artistic guests, and you can do it virtually with your phone or whatever laptop you have. And we're going to try to make this thing work. And we ended up doing 59 shows that way.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's how I got to know them, and we were kind of in the trenches together during that time, clearly with what was going on with the state of the country and the world at that time, and all that other stuff. So for when I saw you playing a set with them, it had been 5 years since we had seen each other in person, because it was Seattle, then I went to Kelso, and then I went to Yakima. So yeah, it was like this huge reunion thing.
Oh wow, okay, that's crazy. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, and you can trip out on this. I don't know if you know this part about them, but they are an offshoot of basically 3 other bands. So they started as an industrial band called Mankind is Obsolete. So that was Tosh, Gordon, and Scott. And then they still have Alice Underground, which is a gypsy swing jazz band, which has all of the same members plus a horn player. And then the 3 guys, Scott, Gordon, and Steve, have a kind of a punk band called Bash Rock, or just called Bash now. So they're all active. So during the lockdown, they actually pulled all those bands out at any given time, or doing different sets of those different bands' music. And you're like, it was such a head trip, especially, and you would appreciate this as a musician. It's like, imagine walking, they've done this, I think they said 3 times, where they did a show of as Alice, did their set, walked off stage, 20 minutes later went on, did Alice Underground, completely different outfits and different type of music, walked off stage, changed outfits, and went back on as, one of the other bands. I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you do a deep dive on those guys, you'll find out just how widespreading their musical talent is. And as you met,
I'll do that.
Yeah, they're really, really giving, kind people. I'm forever connected to them now. And now I'm connected to you because of them. So that's another thing. So, had they not been playing Yakima, I wouldn't have been over there, and I wouldn't have seen this freaking guitar shredder just blow my mind. Oh my gosh! Well,
I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. Our paths have crossed, man. So, likewise, my friend.
I was going to say that's a 2-way street. So I was so happy that I got to see somebody like yourself play, and you've kind of talked about that. You have gigs coming up with Dead by Design, and I'll try to see if I can either make the Substation one, or if there's another one in the next month or 2 that I can make. But I also kind of noticed that. Do you design your logo and the band's logo, or did somebody because they look similar to me? So
yeah, I did that on purpose. We had got the Dead by Design logo. Austin and I mean, this is back 2019, maybe early 2020. We got the logo, the circular logo, and I was like, I like that. We had stickers printed, and then so I was like, all right, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to make my logo. I'm like, well, we did really good with those circle design. It worked out really well. So I went to an artist and I'm like, okay, it's got to be a circle. So, that's what we got. So, that's it.
Oh, that's cool, because there's continuity to it, between your solo project and the band. So I thought there was
there's that connection, right? Yeah.
No, I've talked about this a lot on my live streams. I love things when there's intention behind it, and not just some sort of haphazard thing happen or a coincidence. It's like, no, we put some thought into this. I want this to be a circle, like the band's logo. I want it looking similar. And also what I kind of like about it is that depending on how you look at it, it's your initials, but it also could be something else. So people aren't quite sure when they're looking at the t-shirt, like, Mark, what is that? And it gives a conversation piece immediately. It's like, oh, it's this guitarist who I saw in Yakima, he plays in this band. and that kind of thing. And so I love those kind of things when I can wear it around, and it's not just like, I mean, granted, I love also like, a Cannibal Corpse shirt where you know exactly what it is. But
Sure, of course.
but I dig things too where people are a little bit more like, that's kind of interesting. What is that design, Mark? What's that about? And it's like, well, and I can tell them. And it's been so nice talking and catching up with you. And again,
My pleasure, man.
Yeah, anytime you have something coming up, whether it's with Dead by Design or if you have some solo thing, or even something that's nothing to do with either one of them, you know how to get a hold of me, and we're local, so hopefully we run into each other again, maybe soon, or even a little bit further down the road, depending on how schedules work out and all that kind of thing. But no, I'm Alice. Thank you again for connecting us, and I wish you all the success. Have a rest of a relaxing summer that you get being a teacher.
If we can just get time to slow down just a little bit more, I'll be happy with that. No, I'm very fortunate to have met you. You've been very kind, and thank you for enjoying what I do. It's great to hear feedback like yours, even from the music to just even the artwork. So thank you for all that. I really do appreciate that. I'm glad it's meaningful to someone other than just me and the people around me. So I can't thank you enough for just being so welcoming, man. I really do appreciate it. We're connected now, so clearly I'm going to see all your media and you'll know when my band's playing, but we're definitely going to keep in touch, man. And I love what you're doing, and I want to help, do what I can to help build and get you out there too, man. So you're building something great here, man. So I love this. So tipping my hat to you, man.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And again, and likewise, I think we'll get a chance to actually help each other out. And there's definitely a bit of a kindred spirit thing going on here. And it's so great that you're here locally. Yeah. You're not freaking halfway around the world. But I'm like, well, when are you going to come to Seattle? It's like, no, you're over the mountains, and your band's like just south of me. So
yeah, we're right there, man. So
awesome, man. Well, Ed, hey, have a great night, and stay safe over there, and look forward to seeing you soon.
I will see you soon, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Good night.